They've said it for years. Get woke, go broke. The woke sexual standards are not popular. Just look at Old Navy. Look at what happened to Old Navy. Old Navy right now is taking a massive loss on its company. They're angering lots of customers. And why? It is being attributed to their all-inclusive sizing scheme. They've really bought into the body positivity movement, and now analysts expect the company to report net sales of $3.44 billion, down from $3.99 billion in the same period last year. That's a major drop. And these bad numbers are going to trigger a management shakeup. What changed in the last year? Did the quality of their clothes drop? No, it didn't. But I knew this was going to happen 1 year ago. I was on the subway in New York. And I love taking the subway, and I especially love looking at the subway ads. And one of the ads was for Old Navy, and it was a bunch of big, fat, ugly people. I'm not even saying that big, fat people can't look good or dress nicely, but this ad was intentionally making people look grotesque. The point was to subvert standards of beauty. And they said, this is a revolution. Join the revolution. Something to that effect. Whatever the copy on the advertisement was, the key to it was, this is a revolution in beauty standards. No, it's not. I go to Old Navy so that I can buy sweatpants and a t-shirt. I don't go to Old Navy to engage in a political revolution, but that was their premise. And they set out to it, and they lost a lot of money as a result. It tells you a couple things. One, it tells you that right now, this is not just the radical left pushing all this craziness. And it's a point that I've tried to make to the right on a number of occasions. Capitalism is pushing this stuff too. Capitalism is pushing the revolution. Everyone wants a revolution. The left is always pushing for social revolution in our sexual behaviors, in our traditions, in the way we relate to our country, in the way we relate to one another, in the way we relate to our own human nature, and we revolt even against our biology. But capitalism wants a revolution too. This is creative destruction. This is the idea that we're just constantly going to be in extreme, intense competition with everybody, and everything old is bad, and we're going to innovate, and we're going to renovate, and we're going to get rid of all the old stuff and build bigger and bigger and cheaper and faster and plasticier, and it's going to be better and better and bigger, and you can get it for even less money. And so that language of revolution is always there too. This was always one of the real contradictions on the American right, especially during the 90s and the 2000s. Every GOP speech during the 90s and the 2000s, and even more recently, you get up there and you say, our culture is decaying, it's collapsing, it's being ripped apart at the seams. We need to support traditional standards and get back to our traditional way of life and support families and local communities and all of our traditions. That was the first part of the speech. Then the second part of the speech was, and we need creative destruction, and we need to outsource everything, and we need to upend whole communities. And if there's no more job in your community, you got to move across, and you got to go work, and you got to raise GDP, and the girls have to go work, and no one should stay at home and raise the kids. And money, 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 greed is good. You say, wait, what happened to the first part of your speech? No, that was just the first part where I just said a bunch of stuff to placate the social conservatives. But what I really want is revolution, baby. That's what we're doing. And there's always been this tension on the right. And it's especially become pronounced in the last 20 or 30 years. And what you are finally seeing, you've seen the climax of revolution, where all of the companies now are even supporting this revolution against not just your nation, not just your local community, not just old standards, but nature itself, a revolution against human biology and sexuality. And the people, I think, are getting sick of revolution. I don't think I'm reading too deeply into the Old Navy numbers, but even take Old Navy aside from it, the pushback against Disney right now, the pushback against State Farm, the pushback of the parents' movement. I think people can be swept away in the joy of revolution. You saw this in the French Revolution, the most famous revolution in modernity. People saying, gosh, it was this intoxicating time. To be young was very bliss during the time of the French Revolution. But as the French Revolution wore on and the terror came, and the absolute chaos and disorder came, people became disillusioned. They pushed back against it. You'll notice a lot of the young, prominent romantic figures in the early days of the French Revolution who loved it so much, the ones who didn't die young, the ones who lived long enough, came to detest the French Revolution. They became much more conservative. They said, I'm done with the revolution. That is what you're seeing play out right now among ordinary people throughout the United States. People are tired of the revolutions. They're tired of subverted standards of beauty. They're tired of constantly hearing this talk of victimhood and the total, absolute injustice of every aspect of society that we need to undo. Libs of TikTok, our great friends who have exposed a lot of this, they have shown that apparently the victimhood pyramid does not merely exist in terms of race. You know, the darker you are, the more oppressed you are. It doesn't merely exist in terms of sex. You know, the gayer, transer you are, the more obscure your political or your sexual identity, the more oppressed you are. There are also gradations of victimhood within fatness.
This is the fatness spectrum. A small fat is a size 18 and lower, 1X or 2X. I'm a 4X, 5X. I'm a size 26, sometimes 28. I am the super fat you say I'm speaking over.
I am the super fat that you say I'm speaking over. So she's responding to someone on TikTok, and presumably the person on TikTok is saying, don't you dare speak over someone who is fatter than you. You shut up, you, because yes, you might be fat, you might identify as fat, but there's someone who's fatter, and so you need to shut up. And then this girl responds, she says, no, I'm super duper fat. I'm the fattest girl there ever was, so you shut up. I get to speak over you because I'm the really fat person. But you know what? There is going to be someone fatter than this lady. I promise you. I'd bet money on it. Go to some Pacific island somewhere, find some big Samoan fella. He will be fatter. Now, he might rank a little lower because he's a dude, but there will be a big fat Samoan lady, and she's going to be bigger. There will, or maybe not necessarily some Pacific Islander, but there is someone. There's always someone who is more of X, Y, and Z than you are. That's the end result of all the victimhood stuff, which is, by the way, why the left pushes it. Because if the premise is that victimhood confers virtue, and only the virtuous should speak, and the less virtuous should shut up and let the virtuous speak, but virtue we're now redefining in this totally perverted way to mean victimhood, then there's always going to be someone who is more victimized. So the end result of this is not merely white people shut up, men shut up, straight people shut up. The end result is everybody shut up. Everybody shut up except for the one single most oppressed person in the entire world. I'm glad you liked that clip. Now, stop, ring the bell, link, click, subscribe, smash, do whatever you have to do. Get the notifications. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Leave a 75-star review for The Michael Knowles Show. We'll see you next time.